This is your one and only FireSpark81 with your daily dose of video goodness. And today, I'm going to teach you how to mod Starbound. That's right, we're going to learn everything you need to know from scratch how to mod Starbound. I'm going to take you from the very beginning to creating this awesome gun here. Well, it's not too awesome, but it's a gun and it's modded and it's cool. And I'm going to teach you how to make it today. Let's get to it. So the first thing you're going to need in order to mod Starbound is a plain text editor. Now, there's a lot of them out there, but just download Notepad++. I mean, it's simple, it's easy, it's a good program, it gets the job done, it's not too bulky, it's not too clunky and stuff like that. It will do the job for you for what we need it for today, and there's multiple different versions that you can download. You can actually install it into your system, or you can just download a portable version. It's up to you, whichever you want. I mean, if you really want some other random editor out there, go Google it. It doesn't matter, honestly, what you get as long as it is made for coding and it is a plain text editor. I will provide a link in the description below for Notepad++ for anybody who wants to go download that. After you have downloaded and installed Notepad++, you're going to come on over here to the Chucklefish community forums and you are going to download the modpack helper. It has a Windows and Linux version, and once again, I will provide the links for everything you need in the description below, so you'll have the link directly to this. And this forum post pretty much tells you everything you need to know about how to use this program. I'll touch on it briefly. There is, like I said, a Windows version and a Linux version. Mac users should be able to use the Linux version, but today we're mainly going to focus on using this for Windows. All you're going to do is click the link here to download the version, but you're not really downloading anything. It's actually going to open up a link to this page here. So what you're going to do is just click in this box in here, anywhere, and hit Control A to select everything. And then you're going to hit Control C to copy everything. Once you have everything copied, you're going to open your Notepad++, and then you can either right click and paste, or you can hit Control V, and that's going to paste all of that text into your Notepad++ window. Now this is your program right here. This is it. So what you're going to do after you have done that is go up here to File, click Save As, and save it as whatever name you want to save it as. I save it as Mod Helper. Then you're going to save it to wherever you want. Save it to your desktop preferably, and we'll copy and paste it where we need it later. After you have saved it, it will have the file extension .txt. If you do not see a file extension, go Google whatever Windows system you have, how to show file extensions, and you should find a tutorial easy enough. So once again, if you have Windows 7, go Google how to see file extensions, Windows 7. If you're Windows 10, how to see file extensions, Windows 10, and so on and so on. You get the idea. So you should see your file extension. It should be whatever you named it as, .txt. You're going to rename it, and instead of having .txt, you're going to have .bat. So it should look something like this right here. So if I click this and I click to rename it .txt, and Windows asks me, hey, do you really want to name it? You can see it just changes to a plain text file, because that's all a BAT file really is. If you're Linux, I think it's a .sh file. So we're just going to put that back to BAT. And Windows once again asks me, and it's like blah blah blah. You just tell it yes, and it's going to look something similar to this. So this is the program that's going to help you unpack your assets. You have to unpack your Starbound assets to figure out what things are and where things are located. Now your assets are going to be in your Starbound folder. So if we bop back out here to our main Starbound folder, it should look something similar to this. If you've downloaded Starbound through Steam, it will be in Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Starbound, and that should bring you to this folder right here. Then you want to go to your Assets folder. Now wherever you saved your modhelper.bat file at, you're just going to click it. Once again, hit Control C to copy it, and then hit Control V while you have this window active, and it will paste it inside this folder. Once you have it inside this folder, you're going to double click it and it will bring a window up that looks like this. Now, this window here is pretty self-explanatory. You can do one of two things inside this folder. You can hit 0 to just unpack your assets, or you can hit 2, which is what's used to unpack mods, and it'll ask you, do you want to unpack all or do you want to unpack the packed file? You can select either one of these because the packed file is what you want to unpack. If you just do unpack assets, it's going to unpack this pack file. Now you should actually be able to place this in this bat file in your main Starbound folder as well, and it should do the same thing. However, I like placing it in the assets folder because I have had some problems with it where it wasn't able to find this file, because this file is pretty much all of your Starbound. So once you have unpacked it, you will end up with a folder like this. Yours may be named pack or assets depending on how you unpack it, whether you use the mod option or just the 0 option just to unpack the assets file. And you're gonna get like this, basically the exact same thing that I'm showing you right now. This is your Starbound game. And we'll get into that more in a second. I wanna show you one other thing that you can do with this mod helper program real quick. We go over to our mods folder. You can see that I have a copy of this bat file in the mods folder as well. So if we double click it and we hit 2 to unpack mods, you can see it gives me a list of all of the mods I have in this folder. So say I wanted to unpack the copy gun, I could just hit 12 and enter and it will unpack the copy gun. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to unpack it. This will allow you to unpack mods and explore the code to figure out how they are made. Now, I'm going to say this probably more than one time, but we're going to start with one time to begin with. Listen to me very carefully. Do not copy other people's mods and label them as your own. That's copyright infringement and it's stealing other people's hard work. Don't do it. It's very rude. It's inconsiderate. It's against the law on top of that, and just don't do it. The reason I'm showing you this is because you can learn a ton of stuff from unpacking other people's mods and seeing how they made them. Learn how they made them, take that knowledge, and use it to make your own unique, once again, unique mod. So yeah, just don't copy other people's work. It's plain as simple as that. Don't copy it and don't say you did it. Okay, let's get back to the tutorial now that I got that out of the way. Once you unpack a mod, it's going to look something like these folders here. This is actually what I'm going to show you how to make today. And this is what an unpacked mod looks like. It has a folder that directly corresponds with the same hierarchy that is within the Starbound assets folder. And you just lead through it to wherever you're at, to whatever you're modifying in the game, and you make changes to it. One thing that you need to have in this folder is your .metadata, and I'm going to show you how to make that file right now. So we're going to start from scratch. I'm going to delete Mr. number 1 Gunny McGunny, or Gun McGunny here, and we're going to create a new folder. Now I'm going to put a 1 in front of this just so it's at the top and it's easy to see, and we're going to name it Modgun so it's easy for everybody to follow. So we have our simple Modgun folder here. Okay, now we're going to go into Notepad++. Now, I already have this text from another mod, but you can basically just copy and paste this and then fill out your own information. And I will provide this little chunk of code in the description because it's relatively small. This is going to be your .metadata file for your particular mod, whatever you're going to make. So where it says author, you're going to put your name. Of course, I have FireSpark81. We're going to call this Modgun. This is your description. Put whatever you want. friendlyName, once again, Modgun. And then I leave everything else blank except for the actual name of the mod. We're going to call it Modgun once again. So once you have copy and pasted this text into your Notepad++ and you filled out all of your information for whatever you want to name this as, or if you're following along, you fill out what you see here, but put your name here instead. You're going to go up to File and Save As. So after you click Save As, you're going to see this window here. Now, all you're going to do is type in the file name as metadata, and that's it. Then you're going to where it says save as type. You're going to click this bar right here and you're going to scroll up to the very top and you're going to select all file types. And then you're going to click save. So now if we go back to our main mod folder, you can see we have the .metadata file. So now you're good to go. You have that out of the way and you're going to do that for every mod. When you load Starbound and you click the little gear down in the bottom right hand corner and it shows you the mod info, that's where that comes from, is this file right here. Okay, now we're going to browse the assets folder and start creating a file directory. Here we are in the assets folder. We're going to go to items, then we're going to go to active, then we're going to click on weapons, then other, and then we want the gristle gun. So what you're going to do is create that same file hierarchy over in our mods folder. So let's go back to our mod folder. We're going to create a new folder and we're going to call it items. Then we're going to go inside that folder. We're going to create another new folder and we're going to call that active. Then we're going to create another new folder inside that one and we're going to call it weapons. Then we're going to go inside that one and create one more folder called other. Then we're going to go inside that other folder. Now we're going to go back to our assets folder and we're going to copy and paste that entire gristle gun folder over into this mods folder. We're back here at our assets. We're just going to select the gristle gun, hit Control-C, and then go back to our mods and then hit Control-V, and that's going to paste it in there. Now we have the needed hierarchy for the gun to create this mod. Now's where the fun begins, because I know you are like, let's just get to the modding already. I want to make a cool gun. So now we're going to. You have to rename everything you see here to something different, because if you have the same name and you tried to load Starbound right now, Starbound would have a stroke and say, no, you can't load it because there's too many of the same names, because everything has to have a unique name. So what I like to do is name everything the exact same thing that I'm going to call it, with just no spaces. I just run it all together. So we're going to call this Modgun, or you can call it Bone Gun like I called it. Actually, let's do that. Let's just call it Bone Gun like I called it before. Bone Gun. Okay, now what I like to do is we're just going to highlight where it says Bone Gun. See right here? We're just going to highlight that like that. And we're going to hold down Control and hit C. Get used to hitting that button a lot, because you're going to love that button combination when I'm done with you today. So you've copied Bone Gun, right? That's it. None of the rest of this, just Bone Gun. Now we're going to go over here to this art asset, this .png, and we're going to select just the beginning part. Everything before the .png, and we're going to hit Control-V. And there you go, you've done it. Now let's do it to the other art asset. Same thing, except we're going to leave this -6 or 16 here, because this gun can actually be leveled up to level 6, and when it does, it changes its appearance. So we're just going to do that, just like you see there. Now let's get into modding this gun. If you have Notepad++ installed, you should be able to just highlight this bonegun.active item and right click on it and click open with Notepad++. If you have not installed it and you're using the standalone portable version, you go into Notepad++, you hit open and you navigate to this directory and you open it up. Once you have opened it, you should see something that looks exactly like this. Well, not something, you will see exactly what you're seeing right here if you followed along and managed to follow directions and done everything exactly as I've told you to. This is what you should be seeing inside Notepad++ right now. See this right here? Look, this is one of the reasons why I love this program so much. And I mean, I know other ones do it, but I just love Notepad. I'm a little partial to it. All right, let me have it. Just let me have this one. Anyway, so we're going to double click it. This right here where it's called the gristle gun, and you see how it highlights everything else green for us. Anywhere it says that, we need to hit Control-V and paste in what we've named our item, which is Bone Gun, and you can see it in this tab right here, bonegun.activeItem. So that's what we want to change everything's name to. So we're going to change that to item name, bonegun. We'll come down here. And another thing I like to do is just give it a quick scroll just to make sure it's nowhere else. Get in the habit of doing that now. This is going to help you when we start doing more complex stuff. Right now, this is pretty easy and it's nowhere else, but just keep that in mind in the future. Once you've highlighted that item for the thing that you need to replace, just give it a little scroll down and see. Now there's another way. You can do control find, or you can do a find and replace, but it's easier just to, there's like 3 here. So we're just going to hit Control V, select this one, Control V. Now we've changed everything we need to change. We renamed that PNG, so this is pointing to that now, that we've given it its own unique name. Now we can start having a little fun with it. So we're going to change its description here. So when you highlight over it, so we're going to throws bones. Okay, yep, there you go. Its short description is basically its name, so we're going to once again call it bone space gun. We're actually going to put a space in it this time, because this is what you're going to see in game and be able to read. Now, this is where we get to start having some fun, because everything you see in here can be changed to have a different effect. We're going to start off with something relatively simple. We'll teach you how to do something fun, and you can do all kinds of different stuff with this and play around with it and have a blast. You're going to scroll down the page till you see projectile type. Right now, it's listed as bone thorn. Let's go to our assets folder real quick. So this is why the assets folder is so important. So we're still here where it says gristle gun. Now this is laid out pretty easy to follow. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go back to our main unpacked assets folder. You can see all of the files here that we originally unpacked. This is the main base of the folder. And we need projectiles, because what this is looking for, we come back to Notepad++ real quick. What this is looking for is a projectile type. So anything in the game that is a projectile, we can put here. Okay, let's go back to that folder. So we need to find projectiles. So let's scroll down. Oh, what do you know? There's a folder that contains all of the game's projectiles. How about that? So we can double click on that, and we can go here and look at the different projectiles that we have available to us. I already know that the bone is a throwable projectile, so we're going to go into throwable. And we can do bone. And what I have already done and what I showed you at the beginning, and technically this bone, and you'll learn to figure this stuff out once you start messing around with Starbound. It's pretty easy to start figuring out how they have things laid out. There's an item in the game, and I'm sure all of you know it, called the throwing bone or throwing bones. This is the projectile that comes out of those. So that's what we're copying and pasting into this, so the gun shoots these instead of whatever it was, the bony thorn or whatever it was. You can actually change this if you wanted to, anything listed here. So you've already seen the bone. Let's change it up to something a little bit different, just to give you all an idea of how this works. So we can go in here to the hive bomb. Now, what you're looking for is this .projectile file. This has got the name that you need. It's probably hive bomb, but get into the habit of opening the file and looking at its proper name. So we're going to do that right now. We're just going to right click on it and click open or edit with Notepad++. Once again, if you did not install Notepad++ and you're using the portable version, you're going to have to navigate all the way there and open this file. That's why I say just install it. It's 1,000 times easier to follow along with what's going on right now. So like I said, the name of this projectile is hive bomb. You can see it right here, projectile name right there. If I was to put a space there, see it, projectile name. So, and its name is hive bomb. We can copy and paste this entire chunk here and just paste it over all of this, but it's easier just to select what's inside the quotation marks and copy and paste that. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to copy and paste that. So now if we were to load up the game and spawn one of these in, it's going to shoot the hive bomb projectile. So we're going to go ahead and save that. We're going to just do that. And we'll come back and I'll show you, just in case you wanted that bone gun, I'll show you how to make the bone gun. But for now, we're gonna do this hive bomb just so I can demonstrate how this works. Once you've done that, you can mess with any of this other stuff. You can change its damage so we can make it hit harder if we want. We can make it use less energy. Let's just make it use 0.75 energy. You can change its inaccuracy. You can change the amount of projectiles that it fires. Let's make it fire 2 instead of 1. That's awesome. You can make it, I'm guessing this fire type is probably auto or semi-auto. And its status effect, it's going to create a weak poison. It's got knockback. I mean, it's all relatively easy to follow stuff. How many times the projectile bounces and its damage kind. I mean, you could change all that. So we can make it bounce twice if we want. Let's do that and see if that does it. Okay, so let's save it. Let's get out of that. As it stands right now, we could load the game up and we could spawn this in. But I don't want to spawn it in. I want to create a legit mod where I can actually craft it through the crafting menu. And I don't want just any old crafting menu. I want to be able to hit C and craft it through that menu. So now I'm going to teach you how to do that. So we're back in our main folder. So this is our main folder, active weapons. Remember, we created all this, gristle gun, there it is. Now you can actually change this. This doesn't need to be gristle gun. It can stay gristle gun. It doesn't really matter. I'm actually going to change it to bone gun, just so we know that this is ours. We're going to go back out to where we were. So we're in our main folder here. Now, you're going to want to create a new set of folders. And I could show you all this, but it's just easier just to follow along. I'll show you here in a second. Just follow along with what I'm doing right now. Create a new folder and name it recipes. Okay? Once you've done that, you're going to go into that folder and you're going to create a new folder again. And you're going to name this folder empty hands. Okay? So we have our folder empty hands. Now you're going to go inside that folder called empty hands. And this is where we're going to put our main recipe. So I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, that's great, but where do I get this recipe file from? How do I know what to put in that folder? Well, I'm going to show you that right now. So we are going to go back to our assets folder. And that file hierarchy that I just told you, you're about to see that over again. So we're going to scroll down till we see recipes. Of course, right there it is, recipes. Now we're going to scroll down till we see empty hands. Well, right here it is, empty hands, and we're going to go in there. Now these are all of the base recipes that you get in the game that you can craft inside your C menu. We're going to use the campfire recipe. So you're just going to highlight it. And what are you going to do? You're going to hit Control C. We are going to go back to our mods folder and we're going to hit Control V. Now we've placed our recipe in there. We are going to rename that recipe to Bone Gun. Keep everything the same name, then it's easy to keep track of what you're doing. So get in the habit of doing that now because we're going to do more complex stuff later on. So once you've done that, you're going to right click and open or edit that with Notepad++. So right click, edit with Notepad++, and then you will see this here. This is your recipe. Now, I don't want it to cost anything but 1 item. If you want it to cost more items, you can easily do that. What you do is just put a comma here, and then you copy and paste everything between these brackets. So you would just copy it, go to the end here, hit enter, and paste. You can do this as many times as you want to add as big of a recipe as you want, but I don't want any of that. So I'm going to remove all of that. Get rid of that whole line and make sure you get rid of this comma. If you only have 1 item on the line, you don't have a comma. Now we're just going to make it cost 1 wood block. That's it. That's all it's going to cost. Or 1 log, sorry, 1 log block. It's going to cost us 1 log to make this. Now the item name, oh, can you guess what the item name is? It's Bone Gun, because that's what we put in the item name. We can go back and we can take a look and I'll show you real quick. Item name, Bone Gun. This right here is what you copy and paste or type out and put right here. That's it. You get 1. You can change it to give you 2 if you wanted to give you 2, but we're going to leave it at 1. And then you're just going to hit Control S or come up here and click this little save icon, whichever. I just get in the habit of hitting Control S. It's quick, it's easy, and it gets the job done. So once you've done that, in your recipe empty hands folder, you should have bonegun.recipe and it should have that inside of it, and you should be somewhat good to go. We're not completely done yet. Now you're going to go back out to your main mod folder that you're creating your mod in. So you have your items, your recipes, your metadata. We need 1 more file in here. And that is the player.config.patch file. Now, I'm going to show you this file. What I'm going to do, I already have one. I'm going to copy and paste it, and then I'll show you how to create it. So here it is. This is what the file name looks like. This is what patches your player file. So let's take a look at it in Notepad++. So this is what the file looks like inside Notepad++. This is what it looks like when you open it. And once again, this is a tiny little bit of text, and I'll actually copy and paste this into the description of the video. So look for it down below so you don't have to rewrite it out. So what you're going to do is you're just going to create a new file, and you're going to copy and paste this little bit of text into that new file. Now this one here says bonespur. We're going to change this to say bone gun. It's our item name. That's our item name. This is what it's looking for. Value. The value that it's looking for is the item, and the item needs a name, which is bone gun. Leave the rest of this the same. After you have done that, you're going to go to your file. You're going to click save as, and you're going to name it exactly what you see here. So save it into your mod folder and name it player.config.patch. If you save it with the .txt extension, which you probably will, just rename it and remove that extension, and then save as is like that, and there you go. You are good to go. Now, if everything's done and you followed along, we should be able to load up Starbound, and this gun should be in our C crafting menu. So let's go take a look. Okay, so here we are in Starbound. So first thing you're going to want to do is go into admin mode. So hit enter, hit slash, type admin, and hit enter. I was already in admin mode, so it took it away from me. I'm just going to hit P, and that repastes the command basically, or reruns the command. So it put me back in admin mode. Now we're going to hit C, and we're going to look for our bone gun. Should be in here somewhere. Mine's pretty cluttered, but here we go. And as you can see, it's going to cost us 1 wooden log. We're in admin mode, so we don't need to pay that cost. We can just hit craft, and it will craft it for us. And now we have it in our hand, and we can fire it. Holy sweet bejesus, did that fire fast. Look at that. Whoa. And of course it fires 2 projectiles, and they bounce twice. See that? They hit the ground, they bounce, and then, you know, they fire freaking things everywhere. And good God, do they fire fast. This is one crazy gun that we've created. You know, like, that's kind of cool. I like that gun, but I want to change it a little bit. And I don't want to exit out of Starbound and go through all of that trouble and deal with all that and blah, blah, blah. That's annoying. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to bring up your inventory, and I want you to go over here and just delete that gun. Okay? Now you're going to stay inside Starbound. We're going to go back to that mods folder. Okay, so we're in our main mod folder here where all of our mods are held. We're going to go into our Modgun, and we're going to go into items, and we're going to go into active weapons, other, bone gun, and here we are. And we're going to open up our active item file. So here we are in our active item file. We're going to scroll down till we see that projectile. Here is our projectile. Now I want to change this. I want to change this to something neat. So let's go back to our assets folder and see what we can change it to. We're back in our assets folder. So right here is our projectiles. We're just going to go back into here, and I really like the throwables. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Let's change it to the bone, like the original gun I showed you in the beginning. So if we right click and click edit with Notepad++, it's going to take us back into Notepad, and you can see that the name of that projectile is bone. So we're just going to copy and paste that into where it says hive bomb. So now it should say bone. Then you're just going to hit Control S and save it. Okay, it's done. Now if we go back into Starbound, okay, we're back into Starbound. We are going to hit C, and we're going to craft our bone gun again. Now if we fire it, oh, look at that. Now it's throwing the bones. Isn't that neat? Now, if that didn't happen, if for some reason it was still throwing the hive, all you have to do is hit enter, type /reload, and then hit enter. Now your game's gonna lag. Depending on how old your computer is, it may lag for a few seconds. But it'll eventually stop and it will reload all the assets. Once it does that, you want to delete whatever you're creating. So we're creating the gun, so we would go ahead and delete that, and then we would craft a new one. Now the reason you have to constantly craft a new one is because of the way it works. It actually spawns the item, and the item contains the code that you've created in the assets. So a lot of you should or probably know that you can actually spawn items in and edit them in game with spawn commands. It's kind of the same principle as that with mods. Once you spawn the modded item in, it's like that. Even if you make changes to the core mod, that item still stays the same while you're in game. So delete the item, create a new one every time you make changes, and you will see those changes. If you don't, just type /reload when you're in admin mode. You can see now that this one is different from our last one. It is actually firing 2 bones, because our last one, I only had it firing 1. If you look really close, you can see that there are 2 bones there, and they actually do not bounce because this projectile doesn't have that capability. And that is it for today's modding tutorial. If you all like this video, let me know down in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions and all that stuff. If it does, great, and you all seem to like it, I will make more videos showing you how to make way more complex stuff. I'll show you how to make all kinds of crazy stuff. You can mod into this game pretty much anything you can think of, and I'll show you how to do that. And we'll start with some really neat weapons, and I'll show you how to actually modify this projectile so you can make your own custom projectiles. That is going to wrap it up for this video, but before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for all of your support. You all are amazing. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, please check out the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy and you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and show your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.